Hello, and welcome to Retrospective Cinema, a podcast wherein we'll endeavor week after week to see the full filmographies of chosen directors. We'll interpret, critique, and discuss. I am your co host, Annie Morell.
And I'm your other co-host, Ryan Saylor. This week, we're one step closer to wrapping up Paul Thomas Anderson. We have his 2021 film, Licorice Pizza. Here's the clip.
I've been right here the whole time. I get this feeling I was meant to know you, Alana.
You know I'm 25, right? I can be your friend, but I can't be your girlfriend. That's illegal.
You give me hope. This is fate that brought us together. This is fate.
Shut up.
That was from Licorice Pizza. But before we head into that discussion, as we are completionists on this podcast, we've got quite a few music videos to discuss that PTA worked on in between Phantom Thread and Licorice Pizza.
Yeah, so there's two options. There's Anima for Tom York of Radiohead, or there is a plethora of Haim videos. So either way.
Well, let's do Anima, because Haim is at least somewhat related to Licorice Pizza because of, the family being in it.
So Anima was obviously not PTA's first collaboration with the people from Radiohead, although mostly up to this point he'd been working with Johnny Greenwood on a variety of film scores and then went along with him to India for Junoon, all that. But here he worked with Tom York to bring forward some of the work from his solo album from 2019. Is that right?
Yeah.
So Anima is a short in two parts. For a very long time, it chronicles a man kind of dreamily going through various environments but not really fitting in with the rest of the people in them, and then eventually he is with a dancer woman of sorts, more one-on-one. I thoroughly loved this time, and I was excited to talk about it with you. So what'd you think?
Oh, I loved it too, and I actually cheated and I was like, oh, I wonder if Ryan has rated this on Letterboxd, and I saw you had previously watched it and rated it only 3 stars. I was like, oh no,
It's true.
am I about to debate this man again? But no, I thought it was amazing. Like, definitely my favorite Tom York Radiohead PTA universe piece that we've seen. It's modern site-specific dance, essentially. They start on the subway, crowd of people, as you said, and then Tom York kind of moves through the city and eventually happens upon, or actually no, they connect on the subway. Yeah, that's what it is. This woman and Tom York connect on the subway, and it's all dance. It's this incredible dance piece the entire way through this 15-minute short film, and it's about falling in love. Like, at least that's what I thought. I mean, I was moved. I cried at the end of it. That second song, especially.
There you go.
Gorgeous song. This kind of dystopian feel to it because you have all these kind of synchronized movements from the masses in it. I could talk a lot about this one. I know we've got a lot to talk about, so.
Yeah, I remember thinking the first time that it just kind of happened, and I just must have been in the wrong headspace, because yeah, it's really cool. You see Tom York on a subway, and he actually kind of fits in a cool way. I don't mean that as any kind of dig against Tom York. I feel like usually in these types of videos it gets to the lead singer and you're like, oh, that's the person, that's the one, but he is kind of blending into this crowd, and the way he interacts with them as they kind of move around him, and sometimes he fits in, sometimes he doesn't. I think I read this completely differently than you, honestly. The first half I read, as this man trying to fit in with society and failing, because sometimes he lines up with the dancers around him and often he doesn't. And we get to see that one bit of almost comedy where he's trying to go through the turnstile and it doesn't work, and then he tries the other one and it doesn't work. And no matter what turnstile he's on, it won't function for him, but it functions for everyone else. Once he got to this woman, I didn't read it so much as falling in love. I read it more as reflecting on, like we talked about last time with Tom York losing his partner of 23 years. I actually read it as like remembering when you felt like you did fit into the world and having those memories of that person, because at one point they're kind of going toward this ethereal smoky space. I kind of had that as like him knowing that she's gonna be gone when he wakes up, and eventually he does wake up. So I read it much more somber, honestly. I think to me it was more of him reflecting on what he lost.
See, I think I took it as almost the full exploration of love, like I kind of start to finish. And yeah, I definitely think there's a somber tone to it. That second song is deeply emotional and sad in a lot of ways. But yeah, I don't know, especially the sequence where I think they meet for the first time after seeing each other on the subway, and they're like on this wall and they do this cute little dance where, you know, one of them flips their back to the wall and they're like kind of pirouetting but like on the wall. That to me was the like meet cute moment, and so sweet and so intimate. And it almost, and maybe it's just that I know too much of the background of everything. Like there's this man who feels like he doesn't have a place in the world, he doesn't have a person, and then and maybe he did, you know, before, and then he meets this woman, and you know, everything kind of changes. And it's not perfect, it's not all roses after that. And I think you get that in their dance movement performance. But I don't know, I like your reading of it too. I think, you know, it speaks to the piece that we have fairly different interpretations. And I just want to say, incredible movement work from Tom York. All the dancers, incredible work, but there's also this kind of like speeding up, but kind of stop motion effect that's clearly being put on the footage, that's kind of exaggerating these already kind of stilted movements from the dancers. I loved that, like, you know, directorial choice to really accentuate the kind of robotic movements of a lot of these dance sequences. Oh man, I could talk about this one. And just a fun little fact, not at the time, but about a year later, Tom York marries the dancer woman. Like, that is his current wife.
Fascinating.
I didn't know that when I watched it. I didn't realize it until afterwards. When I heard that, I was like, well, yeah, it's impossible not to fall in love with Tom York after doing this. Like, the intimacy of this pair. Really, it's 15 minutes. It's on Netflix. Go watch it if you haven't seen this before. It's a short time investment and you get a lot out of it. Hopefully you agree with me.
Yeah, this was from that brief era of Netflix where they were throwing money at directors and going for really cool art projects. We also got like Irishman during this time, Roma from Alfonso Cuarón. Good era for Netflix. Yep. Short-lived, but it was cool.
Yeah, now it's just make as much content as possible, and who cares if it's good or not.
All right, so Heim City. Land of Heim. Night So Long, we probably don't need to talk about that much. It's cool. It's recording from one of their live shows. The song is mostly recorded during a sound check, and then eventually the video transitions into them performing it for an audience, and it's a cool moment, but that's really all I have.
Yeah. Summer Girl? You want to do Summer Girl next?
Loved Summer Girl.
Really? I liked it. Tell me why.
The song has a baritone sax part, and the video purposes that as like this stalker character almost. Like anytime the guy playing the baritone sax in the song exists in the music video, and anytime he plays it, they're just like appalled that he's doing this and that he's there. I don't know, I just thought it was the funniest thing. Me and PTA really lined up on humor this one time because I thought it was so funny.
Yeah, I did love the initial sax reveal because it's the first time that the sax appears in the song. He's in a little alcove and it pans and he just appears. And then it's summer, so they're taking off their clothes. Yeah, I liked, and we got Blonde Alana. So I liked Blonde Alana.
Blonde.
You got it.
We had Now I'm In It. Do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I didn't have too much for this one. I thought the use of a car wash, they kind of take Danielle, the lead singer of the band, to a car wash on a stretcher, and this as this kind of motif of cleansing, but she's in the middle of it. She's in it, if you will.
Yeah.
And the only other thing I really noted was I thought the lighting for this one in particular, I think all of them, but this one in particular really reminded me of Licorice Pizza. So it's I just think it's interesting to see the kind of styles he's preferring and how it kind of carries over into these smaller projects. Hallelujah next. You want to take that one?
Yeah, I didn't have that much. Lyrically, I thought it was cool. It's going back and forth, talking about, what did I do to deserve this? And then like Hallelujah being praise God. Most of the song is like very positive stuff, and then all of a sudden she shifts to like a tragedy, like losing her friend. and then, still praising God. So I guess that doesn't have anything to do with the video itself, but that was what stood out the most to me.
Yeah, I think the only thing I noticed was I liked the kind of rotation trick where there's a few times where it's, one of the girls and the camera rotates, keeping them in the same position, but everything surrounding them is rotating. And then the kind of pull trick as well, where one of the sisters is pulling the other by an invisible rope, and it also pulls the camera toward them. So cool that it was in like a historic LA theater. And I liked the kind of stark lighting since it was in a theater.
Yeah, they're proud of their theater. There's that moment where they point up and then the camera tracks up and shows the theater and it says hallelujah. It's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, on the marquee.
The steps made me nauseous.
I think the thing that bothered me the most was mid-brushing teeth, she stops, doesn't spit, doesn't clean her mouth, starts putting on lipstick.
Yes.
Skipping some steps. Ooh.
Oh.
I took that as she's trying to take the steps, but she's messing up. She's making a mess, one could say.
Mm-hmm.
Another lyric.
Yeah, so the video is all about 3 of them trying to get ready for the day and all of them doing pretty horrible jobs of it. And it's something. I liked it, but yeah, it's a bit much. Hard to watch.
Yeah. I love the song, so I was excited to watch the music video. I hadn't seen it before.
I really, before this, had not listened to Haim much at all. I've listened to more Haim for this PTA run than ever.
Wow. Yeah, they're a good band. Not like
They're
totally my jam, but I like a few of their songs quite a lot. The last one we have is Man from the Magazine. It's set in a butcher shop. It's just Danielle in this one. It's a pretty short song. It really sounded like Joni Mitchell to me. Not a note on the actual music video, but more the song. But yeah, that was pretty much all I got from it.
I didn't like this one, honestly. I didn't like the dialogue coming into the song. I'm not sure if that's in the studio recording or if that was for the music video.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's not in the studio record. It just didn't really match the song, other than the fact that the song is about a man and she was like serving two men at the counter. But the song itself, I really liked. I hadn't heard that one before. But yeah, lots of Haim.
Lots of Haim.
And that
Speaking
continues.
of Haim, yeah. Great moment to point out that we are a full spoiler podcast, although this is one of those weeks where it probably doesn't matter. Licorice Pizza is a 2021 hangout film that takes place in the 70s. It is named for a now defunct chain of record stores that were named for how records looked. Licorice Pizza.
LP.
Oh. There you go.
It's got layers.
I thought it was just the visual thing.
I think it's both.
It's both. It was inspired by a moment in PTA's life where he saw a high schooler flirting with the woman that was taking his photo for a school yearbook, where he imagined, what if they kept talking? What would that look like? And it evolved into one of the most divisive films in the filmography. I think because there's inherent vice, it isn't the most, but it's up there. Yeah. Tell me about your history with Licorice Pizza.
Yeah, I had seen this in the theater. I was not crazy about it. I didn't think it was bad by any means, but it was definitely lower ranked in my mind versus, when you have a body of work like PTA, something's got to be near the bottom. Yeah, I had been pretty surprised by it from my memory, not 4 years ago. Just it felt, you think about the run that he had prior to this movie. You go back and it's all these not similarly toned films, but this, I would put it in the category. I think there's kind of a few different ways you can break down his filmography, and I would pair it, I guess, with probably Boogie Nights and Punch Drunk Love, in that it's a bit lighter in the same way that Punch Drunk Love is a romantic comedy. This is very much a romantic comedy, but I think it initially came off as like a little disjointed to me, a little boring even. I will say I enjoyed it a heck of a lot more on this watch. And maybe it's because we've watched so many really heavy, challenging, and not that this isn't challenging, but heavy, challenging movies all in a row from PTA. This was kind of, and I think about when it came out, it's 2021. It's we've been in a pandemic for over a year at the point that this came out in the summer, I believe, and bless him for not making another like The Master at that time. That this sweet like love story was what he wanted to make. Yeah, we'll get into it, but what's your history with the movie?
Well, I do want to briefly disagree with
Ooh.
you said this is similar to Punch Drunk Love in tone. I disagree, because Punch Drunk Love is very, very anxious still, and it's about finding a person that can, you know, sit with you in that and make you a better person and what's worth fighting for. Yes, it is a rom-com at the end of the day, but it functions with this character. You sit with this character that's very unsure of himself and very mentally ill. Our lead here is you know, extremely sure of himself, and so I think it just works in a very different way. So I don't know. I would not pair this with Punch Drunk Love myself.
All right. No, honestly, I agree with what you're saying, even though you just said that in disagreement to me. But
you agree with my disagreement?
I see what you're saying, and I actually will go back and remind our listeners, I guess, of what I said in the last episode, which is I do think the best pairing of two movies, or of Punch Drunk Love and another movie, is Phantom Thread, actually, because it's kind of these weird love stories. Anyway, noted, heard.
Fair enough. Yes, so I saw this in 2021. I did see it in theaters. I really connected with it at the time. I did think it was a little over long, but I did still ultimately love it. I think I'd been kind of theaters, movies, all of that. So I think even though I felt a little harder on it, I probably rated it higher than I would have at the time. My rating, I'd given it 4 stars at the time, and that is more of what I feel now, actually. I thought it was very impressive this time. I think what holds a lot of people back, and what may have held me back the first time, is that the title really makes you think you're in for something like a Dazed and Confused. And the 70s is used here. I mean, yes, the film has the iconography of the 70s. You have, you know, waterbeds and pinball being legalized and the vinyl and the clothes, but it's all kind of in the background, and the foreground instead is this romance between a 15-year-old going on 30 and a 25-year-old going on 13, and it's weird. And it's one of those movies that if you think about it too hard, it starts to get really problematic, which I guess we could even start there. I don't even need necessarily, I guess I will ask eventually your comfort level with the film, but first, I guess my main curiosity is why do you think PTA chose the ages of these characters the way he did? Because obviously he knew it was going to be problematic, and it has held a bunch of people back from enjoying the film at all. A lot of people cannot get past that, which is understandable. So why do you think he even did that?
It's the whole reason why the movie works. Like, I think they have the first scene where they meet at it's like picture day, and she's working for the photography company. There's such instant chemistry between these two. She clearly likes him. He's so charming and persistent. And I think the only way to make the fact that they don't immediately get together make sense is to put some sort of huge hurdle. The age thing is definitely a huge hurdle. Yeah, I mean, it's not acceptable, and I think the ways in which we see the two characters engaging in any sort of like romance is very precise.
Sure.
I'm thinking specifically of when they're laying on the waterbed together and it seems like maybe they're gonna kiss, and instead they're just kind of laying there and he reaches over. You know, he's thinking about it and he gets very, very close to doing it. Yeah, it's the younger, like it's never her engaging or initiating. It wasn't her initiating it at first. I think it's a very delicate relationship. But yeah, that, I guess, returning to my main point, I think that the age difference is what makes the movie possible. Do you have a different thought?
I guess I kind of addressed it mentally in the same way that I think of, like, you know, I thought of Phantom Thread, where yes, in the movie you could root for these two to be together, but in real life you would say, uh-oh. So I think that's kind of where I was at. I think, yeah, you're talking about the choices the film makes to make it work. I guess that's almost what bothered me more, was that Phantom Thread at least just goes for it, and the audience, it trusts the audience to say, like, you know, you wouldn't want these two together in real life, but here's them, all their mess, and you can like them in this movie. I felt the crafting of trying to make this less wrong. I think that the main one is that we never really get her age. Like, she's probably 25, but sometimes she says 28. There was something that pointed to her being younger.
She said she's the youngest sister too, and you know, neither of her sisters appear to be, you know, that much older than her. Her sisters in the movie played by her real sisters and bandmates.
So funny.
So good. And her parents too. The parents are their real parents. And I think you get such a good, like, natural family feel from that, just as a side note. But you don't get her age. She could be, not that this makes it better, she could be 19 and that would be better. But it's definitely not that she's fresh out of high school, because there's such a I think they make the point several times throughout the film that, like, oh wow, she is going nowhere. Like, she is still in this, like, baby job, and yet she's an adult. And she makes that point about herself, and it's like, oh, I'm hanging out with these kids, and isn't that weird? And yes, it is, Alana. It is weird that you're hanging out with a bunch of 15-year-olds and younger. And starting several businesses with them. And I do think there's an attempt early on when we first see the two of them together during this picture day sequence where it's at the very end of he's asked her out and she's like, oh, are you going to take me out to dinner? Like, what's going to happen?
Yeah, well, with what money?
Yeah, with what money? And then right after that, after she parts ways with Gary, her boss, her literal boss, the photographer, as she's like walking by him as he's doing his job, slaps her butt just super casually.
Right.
And to me, that emphasizes Gary's level of maturity and respect for Alana, and how it's this kind of juxtaposition of these, and I think it happens a lot in the movie, of these kids acting like adults and these adults acting like kids. And you see that with Alana too. She's an adult who is hanging around with kids. And then you have Gary, who very much acts
has multiple businesses,
is not in school anymore, it appears, and, you know, is a working actor. And I think, I don't know, for me, as kind of an extra textural thing, like, it does help me to know that Cooper Hoffman was actually 18 when this was filmed. Like, that maybe is why it feels a little better. And as you're saying, you know, it can happen in the movie, and it doesn't mean we're endorsing it, or PTA is endorsing it in real life.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. But I guess just because there were enough choices in the film to, like, justify it almost made it more problematic for me that you know, the film couldn't just let it be inappropriate but okay in the movie. It was like, well, here's all these other things so that you feel less weird about it. And I was like, I feel more weird about it now.
Yeah. It is the main hurdle.
And so I guess we have gotten past it so that their relationship can exist.
I guess I want to ask you a question. We have this whole scene of them meeting and him asking her out and her being like, haha, you're a child. What makes Alana meet up with Gary?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is just that she is into him, and I think she does find him interesting. Like, even if it's not, you know, a date at first, like, she's like, all right, who is this kid that, you know, has this confidence? I think you brought up the moment that convinces her is probably that her boss slaps her butt. I think she's remembering, you know, a time when she had some hope for the world, maybe back before she was an adult. So I think it's all of those things together. It's, you know, that he is interesting, that they don't have to be dating for her to, you know, hang out with him, and that he maybe is not yet corrupted like the adult males in her life.
Yeah, I like that. Her being intrigued just to see, like, what this would even be. And yeah, he's charming enough. The other question I have for you: is Gary a realistic 15-year-old to you?
Yeah, I think he can totally exist in this film. But yeah, I think the film is certainly heightened, much like, you know, we talked about the heightened realities of the romances in the previous films as well. Gary is... I mean, even just the name Gary Valentine is something out of like a novel, and yet he's supposed to be this like real person that's coming into her life and affecting it in all these ways. I think the things that bring him back to reality to me, and what ground him actually, and maybe what stood out to me because they don't work in that fantastical way, are his insecurities. He's fine, being a flirt, but if anyone flirts with Alana, he can't deal with it at all. He tries to be so suave, but at one point, and it may be spreading rumors or lying, but at one point we hear that he's begged this mutual friend of theirs for like hand jobs for years. So I think those helped me to remember, okay, like this is still just a teenager. Like he isn't all that he's pretending to be. So I think if it was just that surface, like what he portrays, then no, but there is something beneath that makes him more believable to me.
Yeah, I totally agree. I appreciate, because I do think that precocious kids like that exist, absolutely. Dare I say I might have been one of them, but like you were saying, there are these kind of bringing him back to earth moments. I think another good example is Alana is his chaperone for this New York trip, did this movie, and it's this kind of reunion show with not Lucille Ball, but definitely Lucille Ball.
With not Lucille Ball. I think that was her character's name.
Not Lucille Ball, yeah, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, she's chaperoning him and kind of trying to dazzle her with his craft. Not in a dissimilar way to Reynolds in Phantom Thread trying to dazzle Alma with his craft initially. I liked that little parallel, but he's about to do the show and he's like, I'll make a joke like that's just for you. They ask him what he's been working on and he says, I've been in 3 Beavers. They're like, oh, you've been in Leave It to Beaver. And he's like, no, 3 Beavers. And it falls flat. It's lame. She's clearly unimpressed.
No one laughs. The whole audience just stares at him.
Yeah, including Alana. Like that is a teenage boy right there. So yeah, I agree. I think there's a nice mix of him being precocious and very much acting like an adult, and these kind of bringing him back to being a 15-year-old boy moments.
The film functions kind of as a series of shorter vignettes almost. They go on these different adventures, and there is this narrative arc across the film of Gary and Alana slowly truly falling in love, but I'd be down to kind of just go through each segment because I think they are individually fascinating. The 2 main ones, Bradley Cooper plays John Peters, the partner of Barbara Streisand. He may be correcting my pronunciation, as they install a waterbed there, and eventually chaos. My favorite scene of the movie is this, what I've called the Great Reverse.
Which Alana Haim did all that driving herself, and you can really, it shows, honestly, like in a good way, but
I did not know that. She looks locked in during the sequence. Anyway, and then the other one, Benny Safety of directorial fame mostly, I guess, and The Curse, playing a progressive running for mayor, and it evolves from there. But before we get any of that, we get John Michael Higgins playing Jerry Frick.
I forgot about. I blacked this out.
In a series of scenes that is somewhere between extremely offensive and very funny. Did they work for you? Did they not work for you? What you got?
I think it works for me. I mean, I'm really biased because I'm a huge John Michael Higgins fan in general, and I think, wow, like he took a big risk taking this little role. Yeah. So the premise of the joke, if you will, is that John Michael Higgins' character owns a Japanese restaurant with his Japanese wife who speaks Japanese, and in this meeting with Gary, John Michael Higgins speaks to her not in Japanese but in the most offensive Japanese accent in English.
Right. Can you demonstrate for our audience? No, I'm just kidding.
Nope. Not getting canceled today. Yeah, and it's hilarious. It's cringe as hell. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah, you're laughing at him, not with him, which is what makes it work. And there's the final zinger, because this goes on for a couple scenes. Like, he comes back, and eventually his second, Japanese wife says something to him, and he gets asked like, oh, what'd she say? And he's like, oh, I don't know, I don't speak Japanese. So that kind of makes the whole thing work, because it's just like, oh no. But yeah, it's wild inclusion. That was another thing. I mean, yeah, this film had a variety of controversies.
Yeah. Well,
sure.
I think there's a lot of poking fun at, people and their racial politics at this time, in this time period. So there's just I think it's kind of throughout an underlying kind of critique of people's treatment of race at the time. And I also think what makes the John Michael Higgins scenes work is how the two wives play it. Because this first wife, clearly she hates this guy.
Yeah.
By that point, she understands what's happening, even if she can't actually speak English, which who knows, she might actually know English too. And then the second wife is clear, like younger and at the start of their marriage, so maybe more naive. It's good, but it's also so bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. I just wanted to hear your thoughts. But yeah, we get Sean Penn, who's, like you said, Jack Holden. He is a movie producer of some kind, and Daredevil by night. We do get, so there's a ton of running in this movie. It's the main visual motif, and it's not the first time that PTA's filmed running. He likes watching people sprint full speed, and so do I. Jack puts Alana on the back of his motorcycle, saying, all you have to do is hold on, which she doesn't. So that's kind of,
thank goodness,
a mistake. But
no.
But she drops off the back and could be injured. We're not sure. And he just does not care. He drives away, which he might not notice, but either way, he doesn't care enough to notice. And eventually he crashes and still doesn't notice. It's all about him. So during this whole thing, you get Cooper Hoffman just sprinting full speed to rescue Alana, or to see if she's okay. There's a great shot where they had to have slowed down the motorcycle, because it looks like Gary and the motorcycle cross at roughly the same speed, which means that, canonically, Gary's running at 40, 50 miles an hour. Anyway, he gets to her, and it's beautiful. And yeah, it's actually, it's such a good shot that it's used again later, which is the second time in PTA's filmography that there's a flashback to an earlier scene. And usually I just hate that, but I think he uses them so well.
I'm kind of surprised to hear. I didn't like this flashback as much. I didn't think we needed it.
Okay.
Because I already, to me, I was already thinking about those scenes, so it felt a bit heavy-handed to me. But it's so brief that I wasn't especially upset about it. It's not like it replayed the whole scene or anything.
I guess it worked for me because it showed him just always running, always running for her.
Oh, and we didn't say this for the Haim music video discussion, but yeah, lots of walking in those. Loves to watch the Haim.
He likes his movement.
Ladies walk and run.
In what is perhaps, we alluded to it earlier, but was perhaps the most famous sequence of scenes in this film, Bradley Cooper, who I continue to think is just an underutilized actor, honestly. He's so great, and I don't even know, what's he known for at this point? Rocket Raccoon?
Stars Born. Which, we could talk about that. There's this kind of parallel, because John Peters produced the original Stars Born with Barbara Streisand.
Oh, I did not make this connection at all.
Bradley Cooper will later, after this film, go on to...
No, before this film. Before this film.
Is it really?
That would be an intentional tie-in, because A Star is Born was 2018, right? So no, so you're totally making... Yeah, so it's totally a reference. You made the connection.
Yeah, so I guess it must be intentional. He's playing John Peters. He produced and starred in A Star is Born with Lady Gaga, which was a remake of a Barbara Streisand film that John Peters produced. John Peters also technically produced the Cooper Star is Born, but I actually read that he had very little to do with the actual production. I guess I didn't read why, truly don't know why, but I guess he's a more controversial figure these days. The other fact that I read about John Peters, PTA actually showed John Peters the script for his scenes. He was like, is this realistic? Like, would you have done this? And he was like, I wouldn't have yelled at him, but I definitely would have hit on Alana. So
yeah, that scene is so wild, because he first, you get this great exchange at first, because he asks Gary, are you two together? And Gary says no. And he says, oh, why not? And Gary says, yeah, I don't know. But then once they're not together, he leans over him to be inches from Alana, and it's just logistically uncomfortable for everyone involved. But the actual crux of what's going on here. So at this point in the story, Gary has a waterbed company, which, like I was saying earlier, the plot secondary on this one. Sorry if you're jumping around and confused about how we got to the waterbed company. They're installing this waterbed, and this guy's kind of rude, and so they're feeling angsty, and they decide to dump the hose so that it's just running water and flooding this guy's house, and then they drive away. They end up running into him, and then they drop him off. There's this whole Chekhov's gas station thing going on because it's the 70s and everyone's running out of gas. Like the gas crisis is going on, as in, like, you know, these gas stations literally are out of gas, that level. So it culminates in this moment where they end up back at his vehicle and they smash it, and they realize they're out of gas, and so they put it in neutral. And Alana navigates this entire mountain range with just her rear view mirror and her power of will. And you're telling me she actually did all these stunts herself?
That, according to the IMDb trivia. Yeah. Insane.
Yeah, it has perhaps, I mean, it's a very simple shot, but I guess my favorite shot in the film as far as communication, because it's just a shot of the side mirror looking at Alana's face, and yeah, like I said earlier, she just looks so locked in a way that we really don't see her character look the rest of the film. So I guess that's why it stands out. But yeah, they end up, you know, safely doing all this and have this big celebratory moment, and then it culminates in the next morning where Gary and his friends are celebrating and they're being very juvenile. Alana takes a moment to be like, why do I hang out with these people?
I'm gonna go get a job.
Yeah, and then she, you know, goes to the next subplot.
And I think in all these little subplots with older men, case of Jack Holden, Sean Penn's character, and Bradley Cooper and Benny Safety, it's every time I think it's kind of reinforcing that photographer butt slap moment of like, wow, these adult men are children. And in different ways, even with Benny Safety's character, who seems like, oh, finally, maybe it's this young adult man with ambition, and maybe this is like the guy for Alana. It seems for a second, and then just immediately he is just as immature as the others, because it's complicated, because I get that being a gay politician in the 70s was probably not a thing you'd be very successful at, but I mean, he can't even. He's just like using her as a beard in public because he realizes someone is,
and without her knowing. Without her consent, again, that's the key thing.
Yeah, and without his partner's consent, really, either. So
right,
and they have a lovely. Her and the partner end up leaving together to kind of further this charade that he's meeting with his couple friends that they're supposed to be, and they have a lovely moment where the partner's like, men are shit.
Yeah, it's a good scene.
It's cute.
Also in that sequence, there's a long reference to Taxi Driver, so I'll shout it out. So you get this guy staring at this councilman's office and thinking about going in and kind of looking dangerous, and then there's a lot of shots that mirror the similar sequence in Taxi Driver, so I liked that. Although obviously this time you're not seeing it from the Travis Bickle character's point of view, so he looks even creepier than he does in that film, which was good.
There's no good way for me to bring this up, and it's such a small moment. I wanted to point out when Alana and Gary meet with his agent, and well, first of all, he tells her to like say yes to everything. There's a bigger thing here we can talk about. I really just wanted to point out the funny line, quick draw McGraw instead of Krav Maga. So funny, but no. Instead, I will talk about, as you were talking about earlier, Gary gets very jealous very easily, and anytime Alana is any sort of like romantic object or sex object like outside of his purview, he gets upset, and this meeting with this agent is the perfect example, because he's told her, just say yes, say you can do everything. So she's saying that she can horseback ride and scuba dive and all this crazy stuff, and the agent asks, will you do nudity? Will you be topless? And she says yes, and it's kind of a funny moment initially. He just looks at her and shakes his head like, no. And then it becomes a thing where he's like, why did you say yes to that? And it's like, you told me to say yes to everything. And he's not comfortable with the idea that she's okay with letting everyone else see her boobs, but not him.
Well, yeah, that's the line. It's everything we've been talking about. It's problematic, but it's funny, and it's him trying to be in a relationship with her and it not happening, and it's him being a 15-year-old. Anyway, yeah, so he says, like, how can you show everyone in the world your boobs, but you can't show me. But then it works because yeah, she comes to the house and says like, do you really want to see my boobs? And
Yep. And then he asks if he can touch them, and she's like, "No, you creep." The one quick thing. I am pretty proud of myself. I definitely didn't clock this the first time around. Did you catch the uncredited cameo of John C. Reilly
I did as the Munster.
as Herman Munster? He has one line, and I was like, "Oh, that's gotta be him."
Yeah, we've seen John C. Reilly enough on this podcast that yeah, the second I heard his voice, it was like, it's him. He's back.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. Well, would you recommend the film?
Yeah. I think it's still not in the upper echelon of my ranking of PTA, but I mean, I was like smiling half the time. You really have to forget the ages at a certain point and just enjoy like the chemistry between these two actors, neither of whom, which we didn't talk about, but
Yeah, they're both making their film debut here.
yeah, film debut for Cooper Hoffman and Alana Haim, and their chemistry is undeniable, and it's so sweet and such a kooky rom-com, and yeah, I think there's a lot to love here. Would you recommend the film?
Yeah, definitely. It sounds like I liked it a little more than you. Although I guess I probably would put it in lower tier PTA. But I think so often like vibe films are relegated to being very serious, like, you know, Wong Kar-wai, Romantic Longing, that kind of stuff. But yeah, you can have a fun, silly vibe film and it just be fun the whole time and that'd be okay. I think if you cannot get past the ages, which I would not blame you, don't check this one out because you'll just be having a rough time the whole time.
It is the entire A plot of this movie.
Right. But if you can deal with that, yeah, there's a lot to love here. I think it's great. I think PTA went 9 for 9.
Yeah.
And that leads us to next week. I'm very excited. I'm so hyped for this film. We have one battle after another. We'll be recording closer to release than usual because I'm actually driving to Hollywood, seeing it in one of its VistaVision screenings that weekend.
No way.
First film to be shown in VistaVision since 1969, I think it is. So that's just insane.
Is that right?
Yeah. So, I mean, lots of films are recorded in VistaVision, but yeah, they haven't been properly displayed since One-Eyed Jacks.
Wow.
There are a lot of 70mm screenings of One Battle After Another, and there are also IMAX screenings. But yeah, I'm going to go see a true VistaVision screening. I'm very excited.
That's really cool. I'm seeing one of the 70mm screenings at the Hollywood Theater in Portland. Shout out.
Nice.
It's an amazing theater.
Yeah.
Ever find yourself in Portland?
There you go. Speaking of Cooper Hoffman, follow us on different things, including TikTok, where you can see my comments on The Long Walk, which went triple cardboard. Nice 40 total views, so you could be the 41st. I think it's just because that poster has the word die on it. I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
Yeah.
I should have censored it, put unalive. Walk or unalive. Anyway, yeah, you can find us on Instagram, TikTok at retro_sin, CIN. On Instagram, we have announcements, polls, things like that. TikTok, we have some comments on new films that I or Annie see. We also have an email, retrospectivecinema@gmail.com. Please, somewhere, give us some feedback. Tell us if you agree, disagree, have other insights, what have you. We love interacting with you as much as we can. Or if you just want to reach out and say hi, because yeah, I mean, we had Derek reach out this week and just kind of talk about that he's been enjoying the podcast and that he wants my mic louder. So we'll even that was exciting to us. So whatever you want to send,
we're shouting for you this week, Derek.
Yes, yeah, I did turn my mic up, but looking at my sound levels, it looked like I peaked a bit. So hopefully it sounds good. We'll find out. Ooh. I am at Letterboxd at Ryan Loves Film.
And I'm also on Letterboxd at Annie Morell. Check out my backlog. I'm still in August. Woo.
So good. We kind of jumped around this week. So yeah, I think that about covers everything. Do you wanna do the honors?
Yeah, I hope everybody goes and sees One Battle After Another. But no matter what you go and see, happy watching.
Well done.
Thanks.